power of artificial intelligence and machine learning in risk management. Welcome to Unleash the Power of Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning in Risk Management. I am Eduardo Chavez, founder and CEO of ECM Consulting Group. We specialize in helping CFOs optimize their finance organizations, revenue, and procurement processes, which results in remarkable improvement in cash generation, profitability, and working capital. With the ever-growing amount of data and the complexity of modern threats, it is crucial for businesses to harness the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning to detect, prevent, and respond to these challenges effectively. Machine learning, a subset of artificial intelligence, employs advanced algorithms to analyze vast amounts of data, enabling systems to learn by themselves. The more exposure machine learning algorithms have to data, the better their performance becomes over time. In this episode, we'll be exploring the ways in which artificial intelligence and machine learning can change how risk management is performed by corporations. To provide us with valuable insights on this subject, I am thrilled to introduce our guest, Jagdish Satramoni. Jagdish has over 20 years of experience in risk management, gained while working for Deloitte and other multinational corporations. He is currently the CEO of Think Risk, a software company. Alongside our expertise at ECM Consulting Group, Jagdish will shed light on the potential of artificial intelligence and machine learning to transform the risk management landscape. Without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Jagdish.
Hi, Eduardo. Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake here. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing very well. Excited that you accepted my invite, and I am sure the audience is very excited to learn from you. Nowadays, that machine learning and AI uh, are or appear in every media. So I think this is going to be a good learning experience for all of us. Okay, Jagdish, are you back?
Yes, yes. Sorry.
All right, that's good. Okay, Jagdish, is there any, before we start with some questions that I have for you, would you like to add something to your background so that the audience can understand better your expertise and what you bring to the table?
Absolutely, absolutely. And first of all, thank you, Eduardo, for organizing this. This is an opportunity for us as a growing technology startup to showcase how we are enabling, empowering, and augmenting um, enterprise users in the field of finance, accounting, audit, risk management, etc. But to begin this journey, I think it's important that people understand who am I and what are we about. So my name is Jagdish. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ThinkRisk. Having spent almost 20 plus years in the field of finance and accounting and risk management, I was with Deloitte many years across so many different countries and geographies, worked globally, and past my practitioner days, moved on to corporate and was the chief audit executive for multiple global Fortune 500 companies as well. and taken a whole journey from being a practitioner to enabling risk management professionals through the use of technology, through the use of data, and then being a consumer of that at the end of it has kind of put me through the entire life cycle of risk management and its progression over the last 3 decades. So we are a specified specialist set of founders who've got deep domain expertise in the field of risk management and finance and accounting and technology. And hence at some point in our life, we wanted to kind of put something together that could enable our peers and colleagues in the same space to benefit from the use of technology, the use of artificial intelligence, etc., and have an experience that is radically different from what they are used to today, which then augments and empowers them to do better and be effective in organizations, especially in the field of risk management.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting career, Jagdish.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's been quite a journey and
I am
quite
sure.
a discovery-ridden journey that has compelled us to, um, I would say, take on this challenge. And most importantly, what keeps us driving in this space is about the passion that we have for problem solving, for numbers, and how do we bridge a gap between discoverability of information and generating insights that can effectively be the GPS system for risk practitioners to focus their efforts and
Mhm.
drive
Perfect.
their efforts to make sure that you have make a significant contribution to the organization's sustainable goals.
Okay, great. Before we start talking about the technology aspects, I would like to ask you some general questions to level set expectations and to understand the background of risk management and how it fits with MI and ML. My question is, why is it crucial for an executive team to prioritize and actively engage in risk management within the organization? What's your take on this one?
Um, See, we've always heard the term risk management across everything that we do in our life, right? I mean, you take the very simple example of driving cars. Your risk management elements within that, on top of the functioning of the car, is wearing seat belts and adjusting your mirrors and rear view mirrors and side mirrors and making sure that you're not able to move to drive without stepping on the brake. I mean, there's all these different elements. So you kind of put that together into every single component within your existence, your life, and everything has an element of risk management. So why is it different, or why would that be different for an enterprise, right? I mean, enterprises need to have risk management mature enough, or even if it's not mature enough, at least have a very clear strategy around that, right? Now, why is that important? Okay, effectively, you prioritize and manage risks that are applicable to your business, then you're able to achieve your goals and your strategic objectives. And in most cases, what happens is that this doesn't happen overnight. It's a culture, it's a message, it's how you integrate that within your business. Now, the tone that the management sets in managing risk is highly important. Again, like I said, to achieve your strategic goals, but also in terms of uh, do you want to be overly aggressive in taking risks in domains where your element of success is fairly small, but yes, the rewards might be higher risk, higher returns kind of a model. and how much are you willing to take that versus where are you going to take a risk pervasive approach where you are more conscious on the returns even though it is smaller, or do you go with a neutral stand, right? So it's about balancing these things, and it's like how you manage your portfolio within an organization, or within
Perfect.
your 401k. um, and it again drives down to that whole element, right, which is the culture within the organization. If the right culture is set, the process of risk management is embedded within the organization, within operations, etc.,
Hmm. Okay.
then you are able to channel the work and the efforts of people, process, and technology to achieve your goals in the most effective manner.
In your career in risk management, have you seen companies that have documented their policy towards risk? I mean, what's their appetite towards risk? Have you seen companies that have spelled out in writing, this is what we are willing to take, and this is what we are not willing to take in terms of risk?
I think there's you risk management policies, ERM frameworks is not new to enterprises, right? It has always existed. The question is how effective it is in monitoring and managing them. Um, ERM programs have existed. I probably have seen ERM programs and been part of ERM programs, put together programs of that nature probably 20 years ago too, for large corporations. So to say that it does not exist, I think it's probably an understatement. I think what is more important is the how do we enable the existence of the policy and translate that to executables, and how are we able to monitor them? How are we able to produce sustainable outcomes from them? And they, I think with the advent of technology today, that has become a possibility. That has become real. You can quantify outcomes. You can quantify what you want to manage. You are able to put your finger on the pulse, saying that here in this area is where I want to put my effort in, and that's the most risk for me. I mean, today it's not only about internal, and as you realize, it's all about everything within your ecosystem,
Right.
to ESG, to sustainability, to governance, to internal controls, to cyber risks, to everything else, right? So unless you have, there's way too many things around you, and unless you have the right data, it's going to be very difficult to focus on what are the most high risks that you want to focus on. Otherwise, you probably need an army of people that would have to go and start tackling issues that are probably, the potential of that happening might be very low, but the impact might be higher, and vice versa. So,
Okay. All
ability
right.
to prioritize and manage that becomes very important.
Perfect. Thank you, Jagdish. Um, my next question is, can you give us an overview of how AI and machine learning can help us to approach risk management in a more effective way? If you could give us a high-level overview as to where is the value, uh, how much does it take for a company to embrace this type of technology?
I mean, it's actually very interesting, right? I mean, we talked about effective implementation and integration of risk management just now, right? Um, you know, um, but the whole question is, how do we do that? Where I mean, in our view, in the ways that traditionally it has been done, is about establishing a risk management framework. You're trying to embed that risk management into the process. Once it's in the process, people are trained and communicated on how this is going to work as part of your process. That then gives you continuous opportunity to monitor and improve, which then helps in kind of become a cycle where you're re-engaging with the framework and all that, right? Now, as you kind of break this down, framework is more of a strategy element of it,
Right.
but identifying the pieces in the process where you need a lot of data and data-driven information, that can help you effectively manage those risks. There are ways and means where it has happened in the past. I mean, traditionally, how did we do it? And when we talk about risk, right, this starts with anything from basic elements like transactional accuracy to internal controls to processing errors to frauds to cybersecurity. I mean, a whole gamut of things are within that component. And how do we monitor that? Traditionally, we used to do sample-based testing. Then we progressed into a bit of analytics with tools and Excel macros and some off-the-shelf products. Later, we migrated into doing a little more deep analytics and writing specific codes to do that. Today, that's become a far more superior capability where you're using enhanced techniques like machine learning and algorithm that identify patterns that uses data analytics to a very powerful extent. You can detect anomalies, you can predict risks, you can have fraud detection tools, etc. All this is built in and using the power of machine learning algorithms. Just to give you an example, I was talking to a large global business service provider the other day, and they were talking about using transactional data of service parts and engineering components and maintenance information to predict when a part in an aircraft would fail or when a part in a railway system would fail. I mean, 10, years and decades back, that was not possible. Today, we are talking about advent in technology using AI and machine learning and algorithms, etc., to be able to do that. I mean, we do similar things in our customers, right? We are able to identify human errors. We are able to identify, payment mistakes. We are able to detect and stop erroneous payments, phishing, etc. Journal entries, accounting mistakes, contract errors. So there are so many different areas where your business is getting affected, and the application of technology on that relevant set of data and using the right technology also makes the difference. It's not about just having AI and machine learning, right? I mean, today you're talking about advent of things like generative AI components, especially in using chat GPTs and others, right? I mean, yes, what can they do today? They can research large data sets and extract key information. You want to look at, gap guidance to look at how have you treated a certain transaction. Can generative AI use US GAAP principles and look at the transaction, give you a contextual response? Yes, it can do that. It can translate, interpret data from your financials and give you a story that you can talk to your investors. So there are so many of these things that was there. But again, it's all about identifying the key process that you're trying to monitor and manage and the most effective technology to apply on that. Yes, AI, machine learning, etc., gives you more superior power and ability to understand various dimensions and vectors of that data set in a very focused manner. So let me give you a small example here. We have always spoken about, every business we understand duplicate payments, vendor duplicate payments, right?
Yes.
Traditionally, every system offers vendor duplicate payment analysis. Why using machine learning and specified pre-trained algorithms are softwares like ThinkRisk being able to produce accuracy that is 1,000 times better than any other systems that's produced? It's because the different vectors, right? You have your combinations of analyzing a transaction is not just vendor name and amount and invoice and so many things. There are 65 to 64 to 128 different vectors that are involved in looking at various data points to be able to identify that, which then translates into an outcome that is more precise and that is more focused on what you want to manage
Mm.
rather than traditional systems producing. I used to work on a lot of ERP systems, and we used to get duplicate invoice reports. It used to have hundreds of them, and then you go through that. at the end of the month, when you actually evaluate that, you probably might find one or two of the hundreds that you got on the list. So there's that's the element of balancing the accuracy, false positives, the risk appetite, and all that comes into play. But ultimately, now you're trying to get the information that you really need to manage your business better. And that's what the power of AI and the other solutions are bringing to the market now.
Jagdish, help me to understand one term. You use the term vectors as a differentiating factor. Can you explain to the audience what do you mean by
Yes, so
vectors in a non-technical way, please?
correct. When you actually think about it, right, if you kind of draw a graph, I'm sure everybody would have seen some murder investigation on Netflix or something, right? I mean, you find people putting a picture and then connecting to another picture, and I mean, Homeland. I mean, Carrie was just super at that, right? Every wall she had, there was pictures and ropes tied to it. It's a very similar approach to you take an invoice data and connect it to all possible information around that, whether it's a vendor data or account the payment information of the vendor for the last 5 years, and what kind of material we have produced from this vendor, and what were the average prices in the market. What price are we paying? Did we pay this before? Did we not pay this before? Why did we not pay this before? There's so many different data points, and we call all of them as different vectors from a perspective of analyzing. So I
Oh, okay.
so when you kind of think about it, it's that big connected picture chart with ropes on a detective scene.
Mhm.
It's
So
it's very similar.
can I say then that a vector is like a data attribute?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
and the value of AI and ML would be that you would be able to look at more data attributes to, let's say, determine if there are duplicate payments in the
Correct.
AP area.
Correct. I mean, it's not a set number because you have written a code. So when you write a code or a macro or something, it is defined what it's going to do. Whereas when you use an algorithm, the algorithm generates patterns, it generates analysis, looks at things that has happened in the past, tries to connect all kinds of information that is related to that particular transaction to come up with the potential outcome for what that is.
Okay.
So you can actually scan through millions of data points to come to a conclusion on whether a particular data that is provided is correct or not.
Okay. And my next question is, when the system tell us that there is an anomaly, does it system tell why is a problem, or it just shows that there is a problem and that's it?
Yes. So this is something that ThinkRisk actually, as a product, we were really focused on, right? We wanted to give the user a journey using the outcomes as much more augmented to his reality. What do I mean by that? We wanted to have the ability to take the data that is available in your ecosystem, produce outcomes that are meaningful to you, and explain those outcomes to you, right? So if you look at a product and it says it's an Excel sheet with a bunch of transactions in it, which are exceptions, as we used to call in the risk management space or internal audit space. Okay, I've got a bunch of exceptions. Now I have to go follow up on each of these exceptions. One, to understand why they're exceptions. Two, is there material? Three, do I need to follow up? Four, if management has done something, what has happened? Now, the amount of time that it takes to do all that is kind of laborious, not knowing what you're heading towards. So with solutions like ours, we kind of flip that around, saying that, okay, I'm going to give you an exception. The exception is going to be a high probability of truly being an anomaly. And these are the reasons why we have classified this as an anomaly. And here is the category of anomaly that it falls in.
Mm.
So which then gives you as an end user the idea, the visually the visual appeal in terms of seeing, okay, I can see a problem. I can see what caused the problem. I know what needs to be done to fix it. Let's go ahead and do it. So the intelligence has kind of come to that full strength where you're able to now gather data, analyze the data, produce an outcome, explain the outcome, and drive an action out of it.
Okay, perfect. I think it's very valuable that the system can pinpoint what is the reason of the anomaly. I think that's
Yes,
a
I
lot of
mean
value
the
for
ability. Correct. And the whole objective is to make the life easier, right? We are empowering users to do what they do best, which is use their intelligence and use their intelligence and are able to make decisions correctly rather than spend time in identifying and detecting problems and scanning through a haystack to find the needle.
Okay, okay, good, good. Now, during the time we have left, Jagdish, can you maybe share with the audience a couple of other example or use cases where uh, AI and ML can be used to manage risk?
Sure. I mean, one of the most commonly used ones today is around accounts payable. That's for sure. We have capabilities and help companies today in general ledger, right? I mean, one of the biggest areas that we do a lot of analysis is around journal entry transactions. We analyze journal, think risk analyzes journal entry transactions. And link them to their P&L balance sheet and accounts and are able to identify anomalies in the different transactions. We are working on elements such as generative AI to be able to understand gap principles, accounting policies, and overlay that on certain treatments of transactions to be able to say, this is how the particular journal has to be done, or this is how a certain transaction has to be treated. That's evolving, but today we identify the anomaly. We are able to analyze the anomaly in a manner where which you are able to explain them very precise the problem is, and we have workflows where people can push that through to get them rectified before the close of the month. I mean, customers are seeing significant value in the time they spent on journal entry reviews and management at the end of the month. Another example that is very common for us is, how do we manage and monitor changes to vendor master? You know, um, so one of the good thing that we do is we use both structured and unstructured data, which means that I can take data from documents, contracts, etc., and we can also take data from your transactional ecosystem. So now you have the entire source to pay data set that is with you, and you're able to automate internal controls, monitoring. You're able to readily in process identify transactional errors, payment errors, prevent fraudulent payments, etc. And customers are seeing on an average $2 to $3 million a quarter in hard savings when they are starting to use these technology that like things technologies like what we provide in
Mhm.
an effective and a continuous manner. And these are also giving right now. Another area we are working on effectively is around SOC scoping, which is also very interesting because you're going bottom up truly here rather than coming top down what we are traditionally used to. Because now I can see what account balances are there, what's my material account, how's the account moving, and then decide on how do I scope it further for my SOX testing activities and how effective are the controls within that process. Because on the back end, there are controls that are being tested on a regular basis to be effective, right? So there's a lot of information that goes into it to make an effective decision fairly quickly.
Mhm.
And this is an evolving field, right? We are also
Yes.
experimenting a lot with generative AI and large scale language models to see what we are capable of doing. And But the I think where I think if you kind of put this thing in a full circle, organizations are used to managing with information that was self-contained within their organization to a large extent in terms of data and everything else. We have created an ecosystem where, we are able to gather, anomalies, frauds, and patterns and different kinds of risks that are seen in different organizations, pull that together and have a centralized model where every customer can now have the capability to say, hey, most risks that happen in my industry, I have it already in my models built in that can then continue to provide me the best in class and most recent capability to fight risks and any other challenges that my organization would face, which was never existent before.
Yeah, exactly. And if you allow me to go back to one of your previous use cases, the one about the journal entries, I think for anybody in finance, it would be very useful because based on my experience, uh, if you can make sure that your journal entries are right before they are posted, that would significantly reduce the time to close the books, number one. And number two, when the GL accounts have to be reconciled, you would know in advance that the reconciling items are good items and are not the result of journal entries mistakes that should have been caught in the first place, but they were. So, and this is an area where I see a lot of value because for all the people in accounting, the accounting close is always a time of overtime, long nights, weekends. And if I can know in advance that what I'm doing is right, I think that would be a good time saver.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so here's a fundamental thing, right? It's like a lot of people, a lot of organizations that we've seen have kind of matured into different times. And people don't, people have still, or customers still have not come to a point where they want to do it real time, but they want to do near real time, which means that every day at the end of the day, they want to see if there are any journals that were posted and, okay, think Chris, can you look at it and tell me if there's something that I need to fix? But at least it doesn't, you don't wait till the end of the month to do it. You do it probably every 24 hours or every 48 hours, depending on the volume that you see.
Hmm.
This gives them two different benefits. One, you know it immediately on what the if there's anything that needs to be addressed, and number two, you don't pile up a ton of things towards the end of the month to fix. You it's all manageable quantity at the end of the day
It's
when
more
you look into it.
proactive, and I think that's good.
Yes,
Good stuff. Jagdish, I think I could keep you online for another 2 hours with all these
yes,
different business cases that we can do with or we can take care of with this technology. But unfortunately, we have run out of time. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise and also the potential that AI and ML has in finance and actually in, I would say, in any functional area. And well, I hope we can see you in the future with other examples that I am sure the audience will be interested in learning as well.
absolutely. And thanks for having me on the show, Eduardo. This has been fun. I mean, I love talking about this. This is our passion. This is what we believe we've been put on this ground, on this earth to do, right? So it's always exciting to talk about it.
Thank you. Uh, Thank you, everybody, and have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.